So as you guys know, I'm trying to get the entire collection complete in box, as in original GameCube case, original cover art, manual, and disc. I'm not so much going for all the other extra inserts that went with each game, but at the very least, I want to have all the original stuff with the manual. So I'm trying not to buy games with no manuals unless it's a really good deal. If it's a really good deal, I'll go ahead and pick them up, and then I'll try to get the manuals on eBay. Well, that's exactly what I did from the second hunting episode where we went to the Nostalgia Mall. And if you missed that epic, awesome hunting episode, I'm going to leave a link to that episode in the description down below. Be sure and check it out. I think you will really enjoy it. At any rate, there were a decent stack of games for the GameCube that I got from the Nostalgia Mall that had no manuals. But he gave me such a good deal on them that I couldn't say no. Well, I managed to snag manuals for these 4 games on eBay, and a couple of them are, you know, heavy hitters, so I had to pay a little bit for the manual, but I got the games for such a cheap price at the Nostalgia Mall that it ended up balancing out and still came out to be cheaper than if I were to pay market value. So those 4 games that I got manuals for are Driven, NCAA 2K3 College Football, Mario Party 4, and The Legend of Zelda Collector's Edition, which technically is not part of the 551 number that I'm going for a complete set. But it doesn't end there. In the third hunting episode where we went to the Game Shack, and again, if you missed that one, it actually came out last week. I'll leave a link to that hunting episode in the description down below. Highly encourage you to go check that out. He gave me a good deal on a bunch of GameCube games. I walked out of there with 44 GameCube games. Most of them were complete, but I still had a small stack that were missing manuals. Well, I've managed to snag manuals for 4 of the games that I got from that hunting episode. I got these manuals on eBay, and those games are True Crime Streets of LA, Pinball Hall of Fame, Sonic Heroes, and NCAA Football 2003. Next up, my really good friend Carl, also known as RetroGamingZone on Instagram. Guys, if you have an Instagram profile, you've got to follow RetroGamingZone. He has an amazing Instagram profile, and he often does sales on Instagram, so be sure and check him out for some awesome content. And he's a super nice guy. Me and him have been friends for several years now, been really good friends. And he hooked me up with 2 GameCube games, complete in box, to add to the collection for a great price. Carl, if you're watching this, thank you, brother. I really appreciate it. And those 2 games are Baldur's Gate Dark Alliance and Tak and the Power of Juju. So something really cool happened between the last GameCube update video and this GameCube update video. I've had 2 different people reach out to me on Instagram because they saw the Retro Rick video where I sold him the collection, and they also saw some of my videos, and they discovered that I'm trying to recollect the complete set, and they reached out to me with GameCube games that were for sale or for trade. And one of those individuals is Instagram user Hungry for More, Hungry spelled H-U-N-G-R-I-E. I'll leave that in the description down below. He reached out to me with some GameCube games available for trade, and we worked out a very fair trade. And this is one of the things that I love about the community. The fact that we had that level of trust with each other, that we weren't going to rip each other off, and he sent me the games he agreed to send me. I sent him the games that I agreed to send him, and we both ended it with a happy trade. But the 2 games that he sent me complete in box to add to the collection are Zatch Bell Momoto Battles and Burnout. So Hungry for More, if you are watching this video, thank you so much for the trade. Really means a lot, and you helped out the collection, especially with Zatch Bell Momoto Battles, because that game is quite difficult to find. So thank you again. I really appreciate it. Now, before we get to the final set of games that I'm going to show in today's update video, I want to show something really cool that's not a game, but it's super freaking cool, incredibly rare, and it's sealed in the packaging. Okay, so let me start by explaining. I check Facebook Marketplace regularly. These days, I don't really find that much on Facebook Marketplace. It's kind of gotten hard in the last year or so because the prices, people are looking up prices, and it's hard to find a good deal. Everybody's wanting to try to get top dollar for everything and not cut you a deal. I saw a post for a local guy not far from me that was selling this item I'm about to show you, and I had never seen this before in my life. I didn't even know that this existed on the GameCube. Now, the downside to it, now he gave me a good deal, a really good deal. But the downside to it is there are a few holes in the packaging, and A little bit of dirt got in the packaging, but not too much. But there's a few holes in the packaging. It's still sealed up, but there's a few holes. And you could tell it was in a smoker's home because it has yellow staining. Now, I cleaned it up the best that I could, and I debated on whether or not I should open it, but I decided to leave it sealed because it's just so freaking rare to find something like this sealed, and the packaging is so cool. So let me go ahead and show you what it is. So here it is, folks. It is the Marvel Spider-Man vs. Venom controller set. One controller being Spider-Man themed and one controller being Venom themed. How freaking cool is that? So there's a nice close look at the Spider-Man themed controller. So freaking awesome. And there's a nice look at the Venom themed controller. So I had no idea that this even existed. I could only find one sealed listing for this, and it was on Amazon. And I can barely find any loose controllers. And these are not the only Marvel controllers that released for the GameCube. There's also an X-Men themed one and a Incredible Hulk themed one, so I might try to snag those at some point, but definitely gonna leave this sealed in the package because I'll probably never run across one of these again in my life. Okay, so with that out of the way, let's move on to the final set of GameCube games that we're gonna talk about in this video that I got off camera, and this is the other individual that traded to me, and his name is Eli Miller. He's on Instagram. Super nice guy. I traded him a bunch of PSP games, and he traded me a bunch of GameCube games that I needed for the collection. But he also traded me some extras as well. He threw in some extra stuff in the package, and he threw a letter in the package that he gave me permission to read to you on camera, and I'm gonna read that first, and it's actually him sharing the memory of him getting the GameCube for the first time. Hey Retro Wolf 88, it's safe to read on camera. It's just Eli. I hope the games got to you safe. I recently found your channel from Retro Rick for my son when he purchased the whole Black Label GameCube game collection. It still baffled my mind that you were able to complete it. Congratulations. I also think it's even more crazy to do it for a second time. More power to you, buddy. I also wanted to give a little history on some of these games and the memories I've had growing up with the GameCube. I'm currently 25 years of age, to put it in perspective. It was one of those nights not like the rest, where the wind was cold, the trees swayed back and forth as if it was listening to an old southern man whistling his favorite tune from back in his youth. It was darker than any night, and there was no flickering of light as the eye could see. I looked over to my old, not so favorite alarm clock, and it was darn right. It was getting late, 11 or so to be specific. Still needed to wait a few more minutes until I could jump to my feet and open those presents like a madman. Just like how any good story goes, I fell asleep before it could happen. This still did not hinder the great feeling I would get from this little purple box. The morning came like any other, but I had a feeling something new and awesome was waiting for me. I was right, which was the first and last time in my life. Sitting under the tree was a box, just a regular ordinary box, like the rest, but bigger. Of course, it was the biggest one there. As nature has it, I gravitated to that one. Why, must you ask? It's the biggest one, and of course I want it. Yet I had to wait more time than I've already had, and boy oh boy was it worth it. Opening that box and seeing that purple for the first time literally changed me. I went from a boy to a man that day. You can say I was one happy camper. So many great memories playing that system for hours and hours. So many 4-player split screen action on one of those small TVs, and always ended up with people teaming up on each other. That one level in 007 with the car going through the city chasing a boat, and I always failed until the one day I passed it. Great feeling. Playing Shrek the game, which was not great, but one of the few games I had growing up. I did have a Mario Kart Double Dash and got into arguments with friends over the results. One memory I will always have are those bongo drums. Wow, that game was fun. I will eventually rebuy those. But anyways, I know those games are going to a great and forever home. They're going to get the appreciation they deserve. If you are ever in my neck of the woods in Oregon, I would love to meet you and go retro hunting. Keep up the great work, brother, and let those GameCube games keep rolling in. So Eli, if you are watching this video, first of all, thank you so much for the letter and sharing your GameCube memories. That is so freaking cool to hear. I always love hearing what people's first memories are with the GameCube, because I have very specific first memories with the GameCube as well. Also, thank you for working out a trade with me for all of the complete in box GameCube games and some of the ones with no manuals that I'm about to show. And thank you again for throwing in all the extra stuff. You did not have to do that, but I really appreciate it. And folks, the reason Eli threw in the extra stuff is he threw extra stuff in for me to resell in order to get a little bit of extra money to put back into the GameCube collection and get a few more games, or maybe get some of the manuals that I'm missing. And Eli, you certainly did not have to do that, but again, I thank you, and I will be sure that any of the money I get from selling those games will go towards new games in the collection for the GameCube or manuals. But with that out of the way, let's go ahead and show the games that I got from Eli. So let's start with the complete in-box games. The Incredibles, Tarzan Untamed, Fantastic Four, Metal Arms Glitch in the System, Custom Robo, Cars, Nicktoons Unite, Monsters Inc., and Burnout, which I also got from Hungry for More, so I accidentally got 2 copies of Burnout. Eli's copy is in better condition, so I'm actually going to add this copy to the collection. And I also got a few games with no manuals from him, and I do have manuals on the way for a couple of those, but we'll talk about that in the next GameCube update video. So these games aren't going into the collection just yet, but the 4 games with no manuals are Cabela's Big Game Hunter 2005 Adventures, TAC 2 The Staff of Dreams, The Lord of the Rings The Third Age, and NCAA Football 2005. And then he also threw in some Player's Choice games. So those Player's Choice games are Shrek 2, Spider-Man 2, and Finding Nemo. And then he threw in some extra stuff for me to sell to put back into the GameCube collection, as I said, and those items are Tecmo Super Bowl on the Sega Genesis, Cyberball on the Sega Genesis, Twisted Edge Extreme Snowboarding on the Nintendo 64, Namco Museum 64, Madden 2005, which I already have in the collection, case only for Mario Kart Double Dash, which I would keep and try to get a disc and manual, but I do have a complete in box copy coming in the very near future. Star Fox Adventures case only, and I'm still debating on whether I want to try to sell this or try to get a disc and manual to add to the case. So I'm still kind of thinking about that. A couple of loose games being Madden 2003 on the Xbox and Crash Tag Team Racing on the Xbox, Super Smash Bros. Brawl on the Wii, and Metal Gear Solid 2 Sons of Liberty on the PlayStation 2. Eli, yet again, thank you so much, brother. I really appreciate it, and I hope you enjoy those PSP games that I sent you in the trade. Now for the moment you've all been waiting for, let's talk numbers. So how many GameCube games complete Black Label am I up to now? I'm up to 120 as long as my count is right, and we'll find out in just a minute whenever we do the shelf insert. I might be off on that, but it's somewhere around a 120. Now let's talk about the money I spent versus the estimated value, because I think it's going to shock you. So I have been keeping track of how much I spend on each game, and so far for all 120 GameCube games that are in my collection, including the games that I've not got manuals for and haven't even added to the collection yet, I've spent $868. The total estimated value for the games that I have added to the collection, the games that I have manuals for, is $2,081. So I've spent $868 on over $2,000 worth of games at market value. So if you do the math, I've paid roughly 42% of market value for all the games that I've currently added to the collection, with a savings of around $1,213. I'm gonna try my best to complete the set at less than 50% of market value for the complete set. That is my goal, and I think that I can pull that off. It's really gonna come down to the heavy hitters. All right, folks, that is it for today's GameCube update video. If you missed any of the hunting episodes or the previous GameCube update video, I'm going to leave a link to all of that in the description down below. If you enjoyed this video, hit that like button. Let me know in the comments down below what you think about the GameCube collection so far and how I'm doing on it. Also, let me know in the comments down below, what does your GameCube collection look like if you have a GameCube collection? As always, folks, keep playing games and having a good time. I'll catch you all in the next one, and let's close out this video with the shelf insert of all the games that are being added to the collection that we discussed in today's video. Talk to you later.